Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Every spring we get calls from homeowners with questions about why there are holes in their roses. Roses get holes for all kinds of reasons. That could be caterpillars or beetles of some sort. But in this particular case, it's an insect that a lot of people are not very familiar with. In this case, it's a tiny little slug-like insect that you'll find on the back sides of the leaves sometimes. And that tiny little slug is actually called a sawfly. Which kind of looks like a little bitty caterpillar. It's a tiny little green slug. It has more legs than a caterpillar, but they're very, very tiny. Those guys can chew all kinds of holes in the leaves, and when they do, sometimes you can see what looks like light coming through the holes in the leaves, what we call that a window pane effect, or they'll chew straight through and make big holes and small holes scattered throughout the leaves. So sawflies are actually the larval stage of a wasp. And it's a wasp that actually doesn't sting. It's a predatory wasp that feeds on other insects. So in a sense, it's actually beneficial, but it can cause a lot of damage on roses in the springtime. Usually we see this damage start to show up in Georgia around early April, and it'll continue into May, sometimes into June. And those sawflies only last for maybe a month and a half at most. Sometimes we'll get a second generation that'll come out later in the summertime. But more often than not, the worst is the first outbreak in the early spring. So what do you do about them? Well, if it's something that you're worried about on your roses, realize that it's just chewing the leaves, and so most roses can actually leaf back out again and produce new buds, and they'll be fine. But it does look really bad, and so if it's something that you want to deal with, one option is to just spray down the rose with a water, and if you hose it down, those slugs will fall off sometimes, and they're very clumsy. And they're not able to actually climb back up on the rose and cause any additional damage. If you want to do another type of a treatment, you can use a horticultural oil or an insecticidal soap from your local garden center. That's a really good option for smothering those insects. You've got to spray really good on both sides of the leaves, because a lot of times they're hiding out on the underside. And so you got to get good coverage if you're going to use an oil or a soap like that. Again, make sure you buy a plant soap that's available at the local garden center that's safe and won't burn the leaves of your plants. One other option that's really one of the best options for preventing these, because by the time you see the damage, it's already done. There's not a whole lot you can do about it, is to apply a systemic insecticide. And there's some really good systemic options you can buy at most garden centers. One of the more popular ones on the market now is called imidacloprid, and you can buy that at just about any garden center or local feed and seed store. And when that type of a product, you actually apply it as a root drench application. So what you would do in that case is you would get you a watering can, and you only need about a gallon of water to treat a small shrub like this. And whatever systemic product that you choose, there's several different brands on the market that have the exact same chemical in it. Read the label on that product, and it'll tell you how much to mix up in that watering can. And then once you've mixed it up, make sure you're wearing gloves in the process of pouring that, because you're dealing with the concentrate. So you should always protect yourself from pesticides. So very simply, put on your gloves, mix that up according to the label, and then when you're ready to water that in, you literally just water it around that plant, just like this. And about a gallon is necessary to water it in, again, according to the label. And that will actually work its way into the root system of that plant. And after about a few weeks, it'll be in the leaves, and it'll protect those leaves for the entire season on that plant. And it's something that you might need to do once a year. And so it's better to treat again early March, before the sawflies actually come out and start causing the damage. And that's an easy way to treat for this problem, if that's the way you want to approach this. One thing we do encourage you to do is to keep a good layer of mulch around your plants, so that you don't have bees and things that like to nest in the ground that might come in contact with that insecticide. Also, we don't recommend using dust-type insecticides because those will actually get into the flower sometimes, and those bees and pollinators might pick up the dust on them, just like pollen. And so we want to protect our bees and our pollinators and try to avoid spraying flowers directly with any pesticide. That's where a root drench application can be a lot safer. And again, one application is all you would need to get that plant through the entire season. So if you have any additional questions about roses or any flowers or shrubs or even lawn questions, give your county extension office a call at 1-800-ASK-UGA1, or go to our website at ugaextension.com, and continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.